Hello, everybody. It's me. I'm back. How's it going? I'm so excited because today I'm gonna do a little Q&A sesh, regarding all things relationship, marriage, dating, boundaries, wedding. Basically, if you don't follow me on my Instagram stories a little bit ago, I asked y'all to send me any questions you had regarding relationships, young, newlywed life, etc., and that I would answer them. So I'm gonna answer a few of them today, a little bit more in depth than I did in those stories. So we are gonna jump right in with the juicy one, okay, folks? Okay? First question is, did you ever have moments of doubt when marrying Elijah or any fear? Well, wouldn't we just be invincible if we didn't have any doubts or fears? I mean, wow. Okay, so this is what I have to say about this question in general. Fear, 10,000% I had fear. There's still moments that I have fear. There's still moments that Elijah has fear. And I think in our relationship, we've made it very normal to communicate to each other when we are having fear, regardless of what that is. Sometimes we'll say to each other, like, I'm afraid you're going to control me, or I'm afraid that I'm going to be trapped if we make this decision, or whatever the scenario is, I'm afraid. We definitely talk about our fears because those are very real. Like, you don't just get married and then your fears about relationship with somebody just disappear. I'm afraid that you're going to decide to not love me one day. Like, you actually legitimately might have that fear. And I would say anytime I've had a fear come up or have thoughts of fear in my mind, bringing it to the surface and communicating to Lije about that fear or vice versa, it feels like a weight gets lifted off our chest. Like, it just feels like, oh, I'm not hiding anything. You know, I know. And the enemy doesn't have a hold then on your mind. It's been brought to light. It's been brought to freedom. So fear, 1,000%. Yes. Did I have moments of doubt? Well, I think I had moments of doubt before I said yes to marrying Elijah. So when we were dating, I definitely had moments of doubt. Like when we were talking about getting engaged, I did question. I asked myself the really hard questions. Like, can I do this for the rest of my life? Like X, Y, and Z, can I do that? Even imagining, like, could I live here for the rest of my life? Like, could these be my people if we end up being here for the rest of my life? Really asking myself those kinds of questions. Like, is this what I want to commit to forever? Whatever Elijah's interests are, whatever he has big yeses about, whatever he has big no's about, am I willing to say yes to that forever? I definitely had doubts. I definitely really questioned that for a long time. But I think because I did question it and I did allow myself to have those hard thoughts that I wrestled out, I went through this process and came out the other side and felt so confident in my decision to say yes to Elijah. However, I don't think it's not normal to have doubts during your engagement about marrying this person. I actually feel like that's more normal. A lot of stories I've heard from couples, that is the process. And I can speak for Elijah. I kind of thought through everything before he even asked me to marry him, where Elijah came to that point when we were engaged and began to ask himself those questions and wrestle out those doubts he had inside of him. And that's scary and that's hard, but that allows you to make a very confident choice. When you wrestle those things out, you come out the other side and can go, I know that I can say yes. I think if you just try to ignore the doubts that you're having and ignore the fears that you're having, it leaves you feeling uncertain and scared in your decision and in your choice to say yes to somebody. Question number 2, what is something you consistently need to navigate through as a married couple? Oh, girl. Well, I think generally speaking, something we've consistently had to navigate is building us. And what I mean by that is choosing to prioritize us. You come into a marriage and you're so used to your own dreams and desires, and all of a sudden you have to merge with another person. And Elijah and I are both quite visionaries, driven people, kind of like man on a mission. Like, we want to accomplish things and do things. And sometimes you can become so focused on your vision that building us becomes at the fault. You know, it gets put off to the side. And it's happened both vice versa, where I've had to communicate to Elijah, like, what am I doing here? I don't even feel like you care that I exist. And him going, can you, like, when you are home, can you please be home? Like, can you be present? Can you be home? And can you learn to be together when we're here and nurture us when we're home? And we've just had to go back and forth on that. It's challenging, it's tricky, but I will say, I feel like we've gotten in a better rhythm. I will say though, I feel like we are still in the midst of learning how to navigate the depth of relationship that we want versus what we have. And what I mean by that is, I think in a marriage, you can kind of just keep it on, and nothing's falling apart, nothing's, exploding. But how do we make sure that we don't get to that point, that our marriage does stay the priority? And I think that's where we're learning right now. Like, okay, we feel in a good spot, but is it gonna just flip over? How do we stay proactive in this? Like, who is it that we can talk to proactively and talk through things that are going on in our hearts, and making sure it's a priority that we're communicating to each other, whether that's weekly or monthly, about the things within our marriage that have come up in our hearts in the last couple of days or weeks or etc. So that is definitely something we've had to learn how to navigate. Okay, next question. How do you define purity? Well. I feel like I could say a lot about this, and I've shared a bit in another video, which I'll share here. But in short, I think as a church, as the global church, we have made purity so much more about what we do or what we don't do. We've made it so much more about action, about what we are doing versus our heart. And purity is not an action, it's a posture of our heart. So I would challenge you, where's your heart at? What is it feeling? Is there bitterness that has taken root? Is there identity questions? Is there pain that you need to process? Where is your heart at? The Bible says that pure in heart will see God. I mean, that is a crazy promise. Like, don't you want to see God? I want to see God. So I want to ask my heart how it's doing. I want to keep short accounts with people. I want to make sure my heart stays pure, because from our heart, from our inner being, is where the actions then happen in our life. And if our heart is impure, if it's in pain, if it's bitter, the actions of our life, that's when our actions become skewed. In whatever way that looks, whether that is sexual immorality or lying or deceit or manipulation, whatever it looks like. But I would say purity is so much more than just what you are doing. It really is a posture of your heart. So check in with your heart. That's what I'd encourage you to do. Okay, next question. Okay. Someone asked, is there such thing as the one? If so, how do you know? Okay, I just did a whole YouTube video on this a little bit ago, so I will link that here. But in short, man, I used to wish there was really that, knight in shining armor that was gonna come and carry me away, and it was gonna be like love at first sight, and we just know. And I think, yes, without a doubt, I don't want to limit God and put him in a box and say that never happens. I do think God is bigger than the things we confine him to, and that he has the ability to create divine relationships. I think obviously marriage is holy and it's a covenant and he's on it. However, I think that we also have a free will. Since the beginning of time, since Adam and Eve, we saw that human beings were given a choice. And I think that we actually have a choice to choose somebody for the rest of our life. And that actually feels more powerful to me in a lot of ways. I used to think it was just going to be happenstance. It was going to be like, boom, destiny. There's something really powerful about choosing to love somebody unconditionally, choosing to love somebody versus I fall in love with you and then I can just trip, stall, fumble right out of love with you. I'm really choosing who you are on the best day, on the worst day. I am confident in my choice. So I don't necessarily think there's just the one, but I do think that God is so involved in speaking to our hearts when we're in relationship with somebody, and He will lead us and guide us in relationship with somebody, and we can ask Him what He's thinking about our relationship. Is this somebody that you have for me? Show me, God, what it is that you have for me. I totally think He's on it, He's in it. However, don't know if there's just the one. Okay, well, folks, I'm gonna wrap this up with one more question. There are a few more, but somebody asked, what is the best advice for people trying to enjoy dating and not rushing past it for the ring? Well, girl, I totally get that. I remember when the conversation first came up about engagement for Elijah and I, and we were driving in his truck, and I remember saying to Elijah, but I really am enjoying this season. I'm enjoying dating you. And I remember him going like, oh, like a little bit like a jab in the heart. But it was true. Like, I was really enjoying that season, and I didn't want to just rush off to the next thing. But I think it was beautiful that there was vision. We did have vision for going farther with each other. We were like, we don't want to just stay here forever, of course. But I never look back on that moment and regret not just jumping right in. Those next months, we didn't get engaged actually for like 6 more months after that conversation. And I never regret not just jumping in. I think that those 6 months, man, they prepared me in so many ways. I think that your dating time, it's not for nothing. You're not just gonna like, oh, we dated forever and then we got married. It's like, no, you're dating somebody because you're getting to know them, and you're gonna get to know this person for the rest of their life. But if you're choosing covenant with them, if you're choosing to be with them forever, it doesn't hurt to get to know them really well. It doesn't hurt to build history with somebody. Those moments in our relationship did not go to waste. If anything, they built us a firmer and stronger foundation in our relationship. Even in the moments of we're like, oh, la da 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 da, like what's the next step for us? It was all for something. We were building a foundation. And so I just want to say, the person who feels even maybe the pressure to move into engagement because you've become serious in your relationship, I would say enjoy this moment. Really enjoy getting to know this person and asking them those hard questions you might have and building history with them, like enjoying your time together, getting to know his people and vice versa, and just taking it all in. Take it in. And I would say if it becomes hard to stay present in your relationship, just go back to that. The vision for this season is to build a very, very firm, strong foundation. That's what I'm doing right now. I am actually working towards the future relationship by being faithful to this season of our relationship. So it's not going to waste. It's not going to nothing. There's no rush. There's no need to rush ahead. It's really is taking it in, taking those moments, really enjoy it. You'll never get dating back. You'll be married to this person for the rest of your life if that's where the relationship ends up. So enjoy the dating season. Okay, you guys. Well, what a great little Q&A. We'll do more of these. If you're not following me on Instagram, go head over to follow me on Instagram. Feel free to shoot me any DMs with any questions that you have. I'll pop up another story soon where y'all can ask any questions you might have about dating, wedding, engagement, the whole 9 yards. And also in the comments, please, please, please let me know, what do you want me to talk about next? What topics or questions do you want answered? Okay, over and out. Have the most beautiful, wonderful day. Love you guys.